There's a few brand new gaming news stories that just dropped today that I want to share with you guys, starting with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl receiving a very notable update as it does fix a major exploit that was previously in this game. Then I also want to cover with you guys the reason that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is in the news, as we have the final update for the fighter adjustments, and I want to cover what is new with you all. And then the big talking point for today's video is a new trend we are starting to see in potential Switch console type of hybrid competitors, and I want to share with you guys a new console that has officially leaked that does aim at this audience. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we're covering a few different stories today, and I want to kick it off with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and the reason that it is in the news today because it has officially received an update that is mandatory, and I want to stress that it is mandatory to get online function in this game going forward. And if you remember on the channel, we did previously cover a very big exploit that was actually available in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, essentially allowing you to clone both Pokemon and items. And then I even read somewhere else and didn't check it out into any further detail, but some people were reporting being able to clone entire Pokemon boxes, meaning like a whole screen of Pokemon you could essentially double, and then whatever held item they had would also be doubled, and you would be free to just trade these online. Like, you could find a super rare shiny, clone it, and then trade it with somebody else online. And as of today, it does appear that version 1.1.2 has gone live, and while the overall description only says fix some issues that would prevent the game from progressing under certain circumstances, which of course is referencing some soft lock things that maybe people were encountering, maybe they weren't, because I haven't really seen any talk around that online. And then it says some issues have also been fixed for more pleasant gameplay, and of course they didn't go out of their way to say we fixed a exploit issue that was available with cloning Pokemon, but that is effectively what they have done, as a lot of users are reporting that this no longer works in the new version of the game. And again, to use online going forward in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you will of course have to actually update this, effectively locking you out from being able to trade these freely with people online if you were someone who's using this exploit. And for me, you know, it's not something that I would really enjoy doing anyway. It kind of defeats the purpose of the shiny hunting and the game and everything being so rare if you can just go clone it 10 times and then trade it for like crazy other shinies. Not to mention, I think it's cool whenever you are the original trainer for the Pokemon that you catch, and of course especially if it is a shiny Pokemon with good IVs or something like that. I think part of the fun is being able to show those off in the screen, and of course you are the original trainer who found that Pokemon. But of course, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. You know, I do think that there was definitely some people who were probably disappointed that this update came so quickly. It was actually out for about a full 2 weeks before Game Freak did put out this update to actually address it. So while it's a relatively quick turnaround, there was still a lot of time that people had to go in and clone Pokemon and essentially, you know, kind of throw off the balance of how hard it was to find certain types of shiny Pokemon specifically, and, you know, even rare items in the game. So I would love to hear from you guys on your thoughts on this topic and this patch now being out there and addressed and forced to use for online play going forward, and what your overall experience has been on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl so far. So please share all your thoughts and feelings on all things Pokemon in the comments down below. Now, the next story I want to share with you all today has to do with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the reason it is in the news. And you may remember a few days ago on the channel, we did actually talk about an official final character adjustment update being announced, and we now have that live for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it brings the version to 13.0.1, and there is a number of different fighter adjustments, and this really actually marks the final update. And of course, not in terms of the overall game, if there's future bugs that need to be patched, or maybe they update spirit boards or something like that, they may still do that, but Nintendo went out of their way to actually include this as the final fighter adjustment when it comes to how characters are balanced overall versus each other, and of course their movesets and the amount of time it takes and the amount of damage it does and things like that. So I do want to kick off this conversation by quickly hopping over to VGC, where they do have the official patch notes on what has been changed, so you guys can see what is to be expected with the final update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Smash Bros. Ultimate's new update adjusts balancing for the final time. The version 13.0.1 patch marks the last time characters' moves will be tweaked. The latest update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is released today, offering the final balance adjustments to the game. Version 13.0.1 makes some tweaks to a number of characters, moves to better balance the combat, but Nintendo states that this will be the last time this happens. Following this update, the game's combat mechanics will be considered fully complete. If there are any further updates after this, they will likely be for other purposes such as bug fixes or the addition of new spirits. The official Japanese Smash Bros. Account confirmed this on Twitter, stating this is the last update related to the balance adjustments of the game, except for dealing with problems. You can then see the characters that were actually included in this final adjustment here on screen, with of course having Donkey Kong, Link, Peach, Daisy, Ice Climbers, Falco, Mewtwo, Meta Knight, Wario, Ike, Mega Man, Rosalina and Luma, Robin, Bowser Jr., Ryu, Cloud, Inkling, Ridley, Piranha Plant, Min Min, Steve, Pyra, and Mithra and Sora. And I'll have that article linked down in the description below in case if you do want to read through exactly what was changed with all those characters that we just read through. But you know, whenever I saw this story, it just kind of made me feel nostalgic for a moment, because of course Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was originally released in December of 2018, and here we are on December 2nd of 2021, and we have the game's final fighter adjustments update live on the server. And so that means really consistently for the last 3 years after release, Nintendo has continued to support this game. Of course, Sakurai himself, this is his baby, this is his project that he pours his life and soul into, and he definitely deserves a break to figure out what he wants to do going forward. And he has stated in interviews recently that he is undecided on if he will do another Smash installment or if he's going to take some time off and come back to gaming later on. Like, he doesn't know what direction he's going to go from here, and we don't either for the time being, but it does sound like he made it very clear that he thinks he is the only one who can truly develop and deliver a Smash Bros. Game with the love and care that makes it go up to his standards for the series. So I will be surprised to see him totally step away and let Nintendo do a different installment in the future without his oversight. Like, I definitely think we will see him come back one day, but then you have to have the conversation of, will anything ever truly eclipse or live up to even what Smash Ultimate accomplished here in terms of the roster and the partnerships that Nintendo was able to pull off in this installment? Like, it is really incredible to think that we have a world where Sora can verse Mario versus Banjo versus Sephiroth. Like, you could never have told me back in the late 90s, early 2000s that that would have ever been a realistic thing to pull off on a Nintendo platform. And of course, Sakurai and the team at HAL Laboratories and Nintendo all made that stuff happening from a licensing perspective and put the money behind it. So anyway, I just think this is a really cool send-off for the Smash series. After 3 full years of Nintendo officially supporting this game, we now finally have the final fighter balance adjustments, and you can say that this game will go down in history as maybe the ultimate fighting game, especially of its style, of all time. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below, just your overall story with Smash. I definitely have super nostalgia for the series, as I started into this series on the N64 and played every installment since, and it is still something that you get the right friends around and it gets booted up every single time. Like, it is a truly enjoyable game to play with friends, and I'm not into the super competitive scene, but I'm sure that's going to live on for years and years to come as well. So I would love to hear from you guys on all your thoughts around Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and these final adjustments in the comments down below. Now, the last story we're talking about today is really an interesting one to me, as it has to deal with the fact of what Nintendo has truly accomplished here in this new hybrid era that they brought in with the Nintendo Switch, as of course the Nintendo Switch was really the first time Nintendo ever tried to merge a handheld console and a home console together, and obviously we are in uncharted territories with how successful this console may ultimately become, as it is quickly outpacing the Wii in terms of total lifetime sales. And according to Nintendo themselves, the Switch is maybe only halfway or a little bit more than halfway through its current life cycle. So now we are starting to see companies like Valve put out Steam Deck, which of course we know to expect into next year. If not, it sounds like late next year, and then maybe even into 2023 for a lot of these units, because you can only buy this thing directly from Valve. And I'll be curious to see if maybe they actually put this out into major retailers over the course of time once they get caught up. But regardless, there is going to be all of these Steam Deck devices hitting the market next year, which obviously is in that hybrid space, as you can run full-scale PC games on this and then also plug it into a monitor, or you can take it on the go. And it definitely started a lot of talk online, and a lot of gamers were very interested in this. I was interested in this as well, but I did not end up pre-ordering one. I will probably look at some hands-on footage and decide if I may get this in the future or not. But the reason we're talking about this hybrid concept today is because we have Qualcomm that has officially announced kind of them getting into into this space, and it's an interesting story to start off. So I actually want to talk through the article first because it kind of details what this is, because it's not something you can currently just go pre-order and buy like a new mobile gaming device, but it's rather them kind of attempting to put out a dev kit to get people talking about the technology that they can use with their chip and have multiple different manufacturers come in and make the ultimate product. And right now they've partnered with Razer to actually put out this prototype. And so let's quickly hop over to IGN, where they do have actually a hands-on video that I'll have playing for you guys, and then also just some details around what this means for the future of Qualcomm and them trying to get into this hybrid or mobile concept for gaming. Qualcomm announced today that it is stepping into the gaming space with its own handheld gaming device, teaming with well-known gaming peripheral company Razer to make a device powered by Qualcomm's new flagship mobile chip. The Razer Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 Developer Kit is an Android OS-based handheld gaming device that runs all Android games and streams games on the cloud or from your console/PC. Important to note, however, is that the Razer Snapdragon G3X is not a consumer product available for purchase, but rather a dev kit that developers can request starting today. However, a consumer version may be released at a later date. Qualcomm notes that the creation of the device with the goal of inspiring developers and manufacturers to expand their current footing in mobile gaming. This comes as no surprise, as the mobile gaming market has grown in popularity in recent years. This includes an expansion of mobile gaming focused peripherals such as the Backbone one. Now I want to quickly go over the specs of this thing with you guys too, and of course keep in mind this is for the developer kit, not necessarily the consumer facing product, but I do think that it's very clear that they want to make this thing a powerhouse of a mobile gaming machine that could probably run AAA PC games and of course games from Xbox Game Pass without any problems. So you have a Qualcomm Adreno GPU with the ability to run games at 144 frames per second, a 6.65-inch 120Hz OLED display with full HD plus resolution, a built-in 5-megapixel 1080p 60 webcam with 2 mics, 4-way speakers, haptic feedback, active cooling, support for Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, and support for 5G millimeter wave and sub-6, a USB-C port allowing you to connect the handheld to an external display or use XR accessories. Now, the first place that my mind goes when I read through all the high-end tech specs like that on a mobile gaming device is the fact of how much is this thing actually going to cost if it does come out in something similar to the current state that it is in for the dev kit. And well, I would have to guess that it's north of $400 for sure, and probably between $500 or $600 just as, you know, my betting guess. But of course we do not know that, and we don't even really have an official timeline on when some official hardware like this will become available for consumers. But I think it's an interesting story for the fact that you have these other companies noticing that not only is mobile gaming going through the roof on smartphones and tablets and things like that, but there's also all of these console gamers who now want to be able to have the ability to take their games on the go, such as like we saw Nintendo target and successfully pull off their iteration of the Nintendo Switch. And I think that this is the starting of this at a bigger level, and it does sound like they are also touting up cloud gaming to be a big portion of this machine, because as we do get into this 5G era and as latency times do come down on internet speed, we will ultimately see a world where you don't have to have that powerful of hardware and you're actually running graphically intensive games without the craziest specs in the machine that you are using yourself. And that's clearly what Microsoft knows and what they're trying to do with their xCloud streaming service that they are currently working on. And they're definitely doing things with Game Pass that are positioning them to basically turn gaming into a Netflix streaming type of service. So I really think it's going to be an interesting future to watch unfold. I will be very curious to see what Nintendo does for their true next-gen Switch, because while I do think that if Nintendo is being honest and they do think the Switch is only halfway through its life cycle, I think we're going to get a Switch Pro with more powerful hardware at some point in time before the true next-gen iteration. But of course that is, you know, all up for debate and speculation. We don't know that from Nintendo, but I think that's very likely if it's truly only halfway through its life cycle. But then what the big question becomes after that is, does Nintendo stick to this hybrid model? I think the answer is yes, for whatever the Switch 2 is, or the true successor to the Switch. But then, you know, do they brand it the Switch? Do they go in this direction where they actually try to put a bunch of tech spec powerful components in the Switch 2, or do they do something like maybe they think internet is good enough at that point in time and they do a lot of their games cloud versions, like we're starting to see some of them come to the Switch today? So I want to hear from you guys on what you think the future of this hybrid gaming system market will look like, and what you personally are expecting to see from other other companies when it comes to things like the Steam Deck and then these new prototypes that we talked about today. Like, do you think that Microsoft and Sony will maybe one day get on board with a mobile solution to game on their PS5 and Xbox Series X and S games? Like, I definitely think Microsoft is going to, do their own thing with like just allow you to do it to tablets and other devices. Microsoft doesn't care where you're playing your games at. They just want to make sure you're on their service. But I want to hear from you guys if you think Sony will ever tackle this hybrid market as well. So share with me all your thoughts and feelings and opinions on all the stories we covered today in the comments down below, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.